Limiting thoughts can be so consuming to the mind. They take up your thoughts, they take up your energy, they take up your personal power. And I think back to 2009, I was very comfortable in a position that I had. And I was managing operations at a company. And things were going pretty good, but I noticed that things were starting to taking a downturn in our sales. And I saw the writing on the wall, but I didn't want to accept it because I knew that my position was expendable, and there was going to come a time where I was going to have to make a decision that it was either me that stuck around or the organization was going to let me go. And I remember the day I was sitting in a conference room with my assistant at that time, and we were going through and we were breaking down the financials. Now, this is a multi-million-dollar business, so it wasn't just a simple task to do this. And I remember I didn't see my boss all day, and that was odd because we're talking about the financial stability of the business for the next 90 days. And lunchtime came around, and we had a conference in the office, and they had people from 6 of the different states representing, with the branches. And I had lunch with a gentleman that I hadn't seen for a few years who'd actually come on board with the organization. And we talked, and we were talking about the different dynamics and how we were going to work on building the business together, and how it was great to finally get back in contact with him and to be in an environment with him again. And my boss came into the lunchroom, and he pulled me in and he said, "Hey, I need to talk to you." And I remember walking into his office, and I saw the regional vice president sitting down on the left-hand side of me, and my boss walks around and he sits behind his desk. And here were the words that he told me. He said, "Well, Joe, as you've known for some time now, things aren't really working out with the organization, and we're having a huge downturn in business and new sales. And so at this point we've agreed that we're going to go ahead and eliminate your position. So we thank you for your time here, but at this time we're going to have to go ahead and let you go." And without extending his hand, without giving me the opportunity to give him my thoughts, he said, "Christine's right outside waiting for you," who was our HR representative. And I'd already had this sinking feeling inside of me like I just lost everything that I was working to accomplish, and the food that I was providing for my family. I lost all of that. And I remember, the HR women walked me over to my office, and I grabbed a few boxes and I'm loading up my personal belongings. And I walked outside and I put them in my car, and I asked them, "Hey, is there an opportunity for me to say goodbye to some of my employees that were working for me?" And they said, "That's probably not the best idea." And I thought, wow, okay, pretty shallow, But I didn't let it get to me. And on my way home, I remember I felt this huge sense of loss, and I cried. I literally cried on the way home because I was so frustrated with what had just happened. And I remember I called my ex-wife on the phone and I said, "Hey, listen, I just lost my job. I wanted to let you know because this obviously impacts my income, but it also impacts the kids and my benefits for them. So the heads up, and I'm going to start looking immediately." And I came home, and my girlfriend at that time was living with me, and I remember she tried to console me. She told me these words, and it was like, "Don't worry about it, we'll figure it out." But that wasn't good enough for me, because I knew deep down inside I was better than what they had done to me. And so I took about 30 minutes, and I laid in the room in complete silence. And I allowed the fear to consume me. Just come in and consume me with everything that you have. And I remember opening my eyes, and I said, "That's it. It's done." And I walked outside of my kitchen into my backyard, into my patio, and I pulled out my phone, and I made 7 phone calls that day to 7 of the most powerful people in my industry. because I knew that I was a commodity that was needed in the industry and that my talent was too good to go to waste. And if they didn't see it there, somebody else would. I called Headhunter, and I called 7 of my closest friends in the organizations that I had grown and developed through. And at that moment, I told myself that I was not going to let this take me over. I allowed myself for 30 minutes to throw a pity party, and that was it, because I was better than that. And I'll tell you something. At the end of that time period, probably about 2 hours later, after I was done talking to all these other individuals, I had 3 interviews that were going to happen later that week. All I had to do was make up my resume to finish up the details from the company I had just left. But that was it. So although I was dealing with the issues at hand at that present moment, which were the fact that I didn't have additional income coming in, I knew that within me was a greater power that was not going to allow me to be consumed by the negativity of the world out there. And that I had the ability to bring to me what it was that was going to help me to take care of me. And it was almost as if God came down and put his finger on the top of my head and told me, walk outside and make the phone calls. And like that, it was gone. And I knew that I had secured my future at that point. Don't let limiting thoughts, because of circumstances outside of your control, pull you down. Get control of yourself and find a solution to your problem, because you have it within you. You have that power within you. You're great at what you do. You just have to realize it. Be great today. Serve others.